Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be like the third or second video on this, basically probably the third video on this Porsche, second sort of video on that one. So if you watched the last one, I picked this Porsche 924 up for £350 the other day. Unfortunately, I broke my ankle whilst I was doing it. I fell off the back of the trailer, but I can walk now without any crutches, so I thought I'd come up here and have a little tinker about. So I want to see if this thing's been sitting since about 1992. So that's over 30 years this thing hasn't moved for. I'm sure someone must have started it in that time, but the guy before me dragged it out of a barn. He couldn't get it running, he said it didn't think it had a spark. In this video, we're going to see if we can get this thing running and see what's good about this car and what isn't. We already know there's a few bad bits. I'll show you them quickly. So one of the reasons this car was so cheap was obviously the damage down the side here. That is actually repairable, and these wings aren't too hard to get hold of. But the main damage is really this roof. It's got a big layer of body filler in it where someone's tried to put this sunroof in. And because they put that sunroof in, then... oh wow, those doors are stiff. Then the floors have basically rusted out because the sunroof's leaked. It's not awful. This probably could be repaired. Let's see how well the thing runs first. Here's the newspaper that I found in the car. Here's the newspaper from 1992. So I don't know if that's the last time this thing was on the road. There's a couple of good bits with it. I mean, I think it's got 90,000 miles in it, so it's not like crazy high mileage. Door cards are in pretty good condition. Dashboard isn't great. It's got a few cracks in it. That radio is pretty cool. I like that. It has a key, which is better than some. Yeah, I mean, the back end of this car is actually in really good shape. There's like no real rust around this back end in any of the bottom bits or anything. But let's see if we can get this thing running. So under the bonnet here, we've got the 2-litre fuel injected engine that these standard ones that these came with. Nothing looks to be missing from here that I can see. Nothing obvious anyway. It looks really complete. There's still brake fluid in the brake fluid reservoir, so that's not leaked all out somewhere. I'm sure when I touch the brakes, they're going to leak everywhere. Should really check the cam belt. It feels alright. So the guy said it didn't have a spark, but I think what I'm going to do first is we're going to put a fresh battery in it and just see what happens. The big thing that stops these cars from starting when they've been sitting for such a long time is mainly the fuel pumps and the fuel lines and all the fuel related stuff. So my first thing is to see what happens when the ignition turns on, even if the ignition does even turn on, and see where the fuel gets pumped up into this here, because there's the filter there. That looks really old. So see if the fuel gets through to here. If it gets through to there, it should go through here, but also the fuel that's in it, I get to see the fuel here, the condition of it, before it goes through all these tiny thin pipes. Like, they really dislike old fuel. Tiny micro bits of stuff can get in these little filters on the warm-up regulator down there, and they won't run. I should really inspect the condition of the cam belt under there, but one great thing about these cars is the engines are non-interference. So if you snap the cam belt, nothing collides, and you can just put a new cam belt on it. I actually have a new one in there, so I'm going to be lazy and I'm not even going to check it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Also, for anyone wondering how I've been getting about since I broke my ankle, I obviously can't drive this with the without the clutch. So I've actually been using this for the time being. I'm going to make a full video on this at some point. This is the new ID Buzz. It's pretty cool. I'm not a massive electric car fan, but it's kind of cool. It's just annoying that it's so heavy. I'll make a full video on what I think of that compared to this as soon as I can drive again, and this should get sorted soon. I'm getting to it. I promise. Alright, let's see what happens when we turn the ignition on. We get no lights. We get, oh, there's a battery light on now. Full tank of fuel apparently. The temperature gauge is completely maxed out. Okay. Alright, I've been looking at this for a couple of minutes. I found a few major sort of issues. First dead giveaway should have been this fuel pump that's on there. That is an in-tank pump that goes right into the tank. Obviously, if that's out, there's no fuel in the tank and there's no pump. And the tank's not plumbed in, so there is no pump in the tank. There's no secondary pump as well, which there should be, the high-powered pump. That's not here at all. That should go back in the car, really, but I was getting the relay out of this box in here. So basically, if you can see the daylight up there, the water has got in to the battery tray under here, rusted right through the whole thing, and unfortunately the fuse box sits right under the battery tray, and it has got, if I can get in here, it has got all in these terminals and the fuses, and this is the actual relay for the fuel pump, and that's shorted out and melted at some point. So a lot of issues there. I've just plumbed in my sort of ultra reserve pump that I use for pumping oil and pumping fuel sometimes. That's just plumbed straight into there. Going to put that end into a jerry can and see if that thing's powerful enough to get the fuel into the injectors and see if it does anything. Alright, that seems to be working. So that's sort of primed. I'm pretty sure it's primed. To turn the power on, and let's see if anything happens when I turn the key. Nothing. So we're not getting a spark. It's actually very similar to this car I just bought, where you get a spark when you turned off the ignition, and that's the only time you get a spark from anything. And the problem with that one, which is pretty similar year Volkswagen product, was that the ignition control module was broken, and on these ones the ignition control module is down here. So the green wire that comes out of the distributor goes to the control module. It tells the vehicle basically when to spark from the information from going around in there. This is the green wire here that goes down from the distributor and then down to the control module. And it's all been eaten by mice by the looks of things. I think it's completely broken in there. So I'm going to try running continuity from the green here to the green on the bottom of here and see whether that's the thing that's causing the no spark issue. Alright, so a couple of the wires in the bottom of there were broken. So here, the inside wire is still connected, but the outside was completely disconnected. I've just bodged a bridge across there now, and I think we're getting spark. I'll show you. Alright, I've just got a plug resting on the top of the engine here. You can see. There we go. There is that plug's now sparking, and fingers crossed this thing should start. Wait for truth. Alright, so I've just pulled this injector out of here, and I think that's why it's not running. My hand behind it. They're completely seized up in there. Alright, so it's all of a sudden started blowing air out of the intake manifold instead of sucking it in, which I think this timing belt's probably slipped a tooth or something, or quite a few teeth or something. I mean, the belt looks pretty old, but I mean, I can't see any obvious teeth missing. It's still perfectly tight, so it doesn't look like it should have slipped. Let me just check the whole belt all the way around, because when I turn it over, I can see this turning as well. Let's just double check. I'm pretty sure that's turning fine, so it's not the bottom ones that yeah, so that's turning all right. Let me line up the timing marks and just be 100% sure that it is in time, and then we'll know what's going on. All right, so it looks like the timing has slipped quite significantly, I think. Back down there in the hole, you can't quite see the engine's at top dead center, and there's a little mark there on the back of this camshaft, this little dot, which should line up with this pin here. And at the moment, the dot is all the way over there, all the way down there, and it should be up here. I'm 89% sure these are non-interference engines, so I don't think it's a big deal. I'm going to try resetting it and just see what happens. Tighten the belt a bit. I think all you got to do is just loosen this bolt, and the belt should come off. But yeah, I'm a bit unsure why that's happened. That's the timing set back. I think it should be right now. It might be like maybe a tooth out, but like I say, these are non-interference engines, so if it's not right, it's not going to damage anything. Just want to see if I can get this to run off a bit of brake cleaner, just for a little bit, so I can hear what it sounds like. I'm pretty amazed that this thing even starts, at how bad that fuse box is, because there's a cluster of wires down there that just are not even connected to anything. I think they were ground and they're just connected to a rusty piece of metal that's fallen off. I want to see if anything works in here, to be honest, because I haven't really tested anything. I mean, the battery light comes on, that's pretty normal, and then obviously when you turn it over, still obviously got some brake cleaner in the fuel system. We got a clock. Not sure that works. The voltmeter doesn't seem to be working. Petrol gauge goes to full, which I'm pretty sure is wrong because there's nothing in the petrol gauge. What about fan? Absolutely nothing. Radio. I do like this radio. Probably not quite the one that came with it, but I do like it. It's pretty cool. Oh, I heard a noise. Oh my god. That is working. Treble. Bass. Got no stations. Let me tune this thing. Don't think this one works. Oh, there you go. It's working.
So that's Rag and Bone Man and Rush of Blood. We're talking about the affair, the Dave Grohl affair of
God, Jeremy Vine, shut up. The only thing that actually works in this car is the radio. And to be fair, it actually sounds quite good. Well, that's definitely worth taking. I know the headlights won't work because there's no relay in them. I wonder if they'd actually come on. Are the rear lights? Well, the rear lights are on. Basically, there should be a relay in there. I think this was it. So, alright, I managed to get it out of there. No, I don't want to go in there, does it? Oh, it's in. Oh, yeah, well, they've both gone up a bit. They're not up fully for some reason. There you go. It's just a bit stuck on something. No actual power to the lights. Pretty impressed with that though. I'm surprised anything works on this car. See if they go down. Yeah. The engine runs, the lights pop up and down, the back lights work. Windows, I bet the windows don't work. Nothing. It's never worked, to be honest with you. The rear wiper, Nothing. The relay's clicking though. Does go in gear. What else? Hazards. They're working. The back. And that one's gone. They're working at the front as well. Means the indicators probably work then, does it? Nope. The light goes on in there. No, nothing on the indicators. Alright, so what do you guys think I should do with this car? I mean, I'm pretty sure restoring it is not on the cards for me. I think it's just too far gone, especially with the electronics. I mean, a lot of things do work, but the things that don't, I think that fuse box is going to be an absolute nightmare. I think it'll be a good car to take bits off and put on the other one. I did think when I first got it, put some bike carbs on it, roll cage in it, and turn it into a track car. Holy shit.